Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I am Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points, joined on this fine Monday afternoon by Harrison Fagan. It is Media Day. We just heard about muscle poundage gained. We got, the player goals for a season. We got buy-in talk. We got quotes. We got talking points. But most importantly, Harrison, we got an NBA season officially kicking off. I'm actually really excited about this.
Yeah, and I think I'm happy to report another year where no one cares if they start or come off the bench.
It would have been funny if you didn't include that last phrase. I'm happy to report another year where nobody cares. Scene.
Yeah, that was my takeaway. I'm really feeling down about Lakers Media Day. I was like, yeah, nope, none of these guys care. Losers, all of them. Just come in here firing. I'm like, I didn't hear what I needed to hear from Luka today, Anthony. I just think a distinct lack of leadership shown by him not saying that they needed more from LeBron.
I actually was really kind of I liked a lot of the stuff that we heard this year. Like I'm, me, I'm pretty cynical about a lot of things, but I actually was kind of, yeah, I was actually kind of eating this one up. I was actually, pretty impressed by a lot of the things that the guys said, and a lot of kind of the guys' approach to this upcoming season, right? This is coming on the heels of, I actually thought the players had a much better media day than Rob and JJ had did in their intro presser. I actually thought the guys did a lot better today.
I actually have a take on JJ's, both his last presser and then today's availability that I saw from him on Spectrum, but I saw that he was repeating some of the stuff at the main podium. So I do have a take on that. So remind me to come back to that when we get to him.
All right, we will. We are going to, over the course of the show, talk about LeBron. He was, I think, the person I was most interested to hear from and hearing from the this media day. I thought he had a very good media availability from what I saw. Now, I didn't see him with Spectrum, and I didn't see him with ESPN. I haven't seen that yet. I'll check that out at some point over the course of the rest of the day. I also liked what we heard from Luka, right? And his, he seems really focused on being a leader with this group. And I'm really curious how that's going to go, but it's good that is a focus for him. And then most importantly, Harrison, over, the most important thing to happen over the course of the day was Pablo Torre dropping a 5th episode of his podcast series about
that I have not gotten to consume yet. That's like dinner time viewing. I'm going to sit down,
okay.
I'm just going to really savor that one.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll give you a brief Cliff Notes version of it when we get to that point. And yeah, we'll I think we could talk about it in a more macro sense, and then maybe the next time you and I talk, though, there's probably more to that story. The Clippers were asked about it at their media day too today, so we'll get to that stuff. Yeah, that was impressive. All right, a quick reminder: please do hit subscribe wherever it is that you guys are currently watching. If you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/@LakersLounge and hit subscribe to the show there. And you know what? Turn on your notifications. Why not? And then also hit the like button. The like button helps us quite a bit as we get ready for this season. I would like to cross the 10,000 subscriber number at some point this season. That's kind of my unofficial goal. So let's try to get across 10,000 and then see where we go from there. It is kind of funny though, setting like we really, really like round numbers and multiples of 5, so like 10,000 is a nice number to say. But it's not like, all right, we crossed 10,000 and then we're done here. So I guess keep following even after we do that too. We also
That would be
got
very funny. You do the episode announcing 10,000, people just start unfollowing. They're like, well, we got him to his dream.
yeah, we did. Good work, everybody. Good point here from Omar's Hall. Also noting that the Lakers added Nick Smith Jr. today. A former first round pick that the Charlotte Hornets have already given up on. But I like the pickup. I like the swing there. So we'll see what comes.
Is Nick Smith Sr. also going to be on the team? Are we having some double father-son action?
Why not? It would be funny to have a Nick Smith Jr. and a senior on a team that also has a LeBron James Jr. and a senior that are actually junior and seniors.
Yeah.
That would be a first.
Look, scour the league, Rob. We need to find out if there's a Nick Smith Sr. somewhere around.
Yeah. Isn't the Suns center named Nick Smith? Maybe he just needs to name his kid Nick. And
yeah, there you go. We solved it.
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and dive on in though. Let's start macro, Harrison. I want to start macro. What were you kind of expecting / hoping for going into this? Did it meet your expectations, fall short, exceed? Where are you at just in terms of media day in its entirety now that it's kind of taken place?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it pretty much met my expectations for like probably the most likely outcome for media day, which was that everybody sort of said the right stuff and there wasn't really any controversy coming out of it. And even LeBron sort of like honestly, LeBron caused not to say that I expected him to go in there and like throw a chair at Bill Plaschke or something, but like I expected him to like maybe drop a few more breadcrumbs of like, hey, I'm on the last year of my deal, not the most happy about this, and didn't really feel like the Lakers respected me, and and there was none of that. He, if anything, seemed totally happy to be there. And I watched him at the Spectrum desk, and he's usually in a pretty good mood there with Big Game James and Allie Clifton and Geeter.
Yeah.
But he was laughing the whole time, and they had him ranking his best dunks, and he was Geeter tried to get him with a question at the end about like, are you going to be back here next year for media day? And he just laughed. And so he really like. There were multiple times, I think, where he could have ginned up some controversy for himself if he had really wanted to. Like if he had decided, I'm going into today and I'm going to make this a little uncomfortable because I'm unhappy with the Lakers, how they handled extension talks. I'm unhappy that I couldn't, the Rich Paul statement couldn't get me, a list of trade demand teams or, whatever it may be that he was discontented with. And it just doesn't seem like that's the case. And maybe there are things that he, didn't like about this summer or things that he wasn't that happy about. But for, whatever the case may be, it seems like he's, at least for now, it seems like he's settled in and it's a long season to go. One of the things that I think you and I have talked about more offline so far than online, it's like the amount of 1-year deals on this team and the way that could lead to things going haywire if things don't start that well. And he's one of those guys, but so far so good. I would say that was honestly a like more positive media day than I expected under the circumstances.
Yeah, it's this weird spot that I found myself in that like I was one of the only people who was saying like I'm pretty sure he's not going anywhere, and taking it even a step further and saying that I still think he's going to retire a Laker. Talked over the summer about the conversations he and Luka had. Talked over the summer about the work that he was putting in, reported over the summer about the work that he was putting in to fit better with Luka and with Austin, working on catching and shooting and stuff like that. Was nice to kind of have the reporting confirmed in like, not that he was doing it to confirm my reporting, obviously, but
no, he was like, I need to legitimize Anthony Irwin going into as a fellow father. I just really want to make sure that like he feels secure in his reporting.
Yeah. But like I don't know. Either LeBron is one of the best actors of our time, or
we know that's not the case. I don't know if you intentionally teed me up there, but
I thought he was better in the movie that he did before Space Jam 2.
Oh, you mean the other movie where he played LeBron James?
Yeah,
Just
I
with, like,
thought he was
better
better
writers?
at being LeBron
Yeah.
James in that movie than in the other one.
Yeah. He was funnier in a comedy than he was in, like, a children's movie? Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that he was like, I don't know. I really buy how bought in he is. And like over the summer, right? At no point did he address the additions that the Lakers made. He had like scouting reports ready to go on the guys that the Lakers added, including Jake LaRavia, whose name he knew before he got there today, which I think is a bit of an upset. And and I think, like, I don't know. I really, because I actually thought the best question asked of anybody today was Andy Kamenetsky asking straight up about Rich Paul's statement. I thought it was a fantastic question. LeBron didn't bristle at it in the way that I thought he was going to bristle at it. Andy just straight up asked him, like, hey, Rich Paul, or I guess he said your agent put out the statement about how your focus is on winning a championship, and you're trying to get to a place where you can feel like you can do that this year. Do you think the Lakers are such a place? And LeBron just straight up said, yeah, like I think this is I think we can compete for a championship with this roster, let alone the improvements that typically get made to championship level rosters over the course of a season. He didn't say that second part. I'm adding that second part. And I thought that was honestly, Harrison, the most important moment of the festivities was that tangible acknowledgement of the improvements that were made to the roster over the summer, and how he is approaching this upcoming season. Like I think that was a huge development.
Yeah, like, I mean, it honestly reminded me of, like, have you ever had a friend who is like, have you ever had a friend that's like a diehard workaholic that just like sort of reaches a better point in their life with work-life balance where they're just sort of more relaxed, like they realize that, hey, like I don't have to just like pour 100% of myself into this all the time. And I know that's not what fans want to hear about their favorite professional athletes. I'm not implying that LeBron's like phoning in this season by any means, but he almost seemed like a weight had been lifted. Like he understands like it's not primarily on him anymore. There's been, you and I have joked about this every year on media day that LeBron is like desperately trying to hand Anthony Davis the torch and he just won't take it. Whereas this year LeBron just seemed like a kind of like the guy that like he's like he just like took it from me, like I don't have it anymore. I'm just here to like play off of Luka, and I've been working on my spot up shooting and whatever. Like he just looked like a guy who's like, wait, like my job just got my work just got so much easier. My job, I'm no longer the most important person at my workplace.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's like the reverse meme, right? It's like that meme where it's like I accidentally became important at work and I hate it. He's like,
he's like, I accidentally
became
less important at work, and this is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's he was joking. Like he joked with Jovan about Jovan asked him, every year you say that there's something that you go out and you focus on improving over the course of the summer. What was that thing that you were focused on this year? And he's like, my golf swing. And you know what? That gives me a reason to play this, Harrison.
That's a motherfucking shot. Shit over the trees, huh?
One of our most important emergency off-season pods was LeBron.
Did I ever tell you
about golf in a I'm going home shirt, t-shirt or cap or whatever it was?
I actually did some reporting on that situation. So it turns out those were good F words. He was ecstatic about the shot that he had just hit. It was a good shot that he had just hit. And the second voice that you wind up hearing later in that video was actually J.R. Smith, who has been working with LeBron on his.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Yeah. Like that.
I love those two guys are still hanging out. It's
well, because like J.R. Smith is a legitimately really good golfer, and so yeah, those guys he's been helping Bronny, by the way, like later in the summer, I saw
I
Bronny
choose to
swing. Bronny
believe
has actually good golf swing.
that's what Geeter was talking about at the desk the whole time. Just kept calling it buttery.
Yeah, he's
And
got a nice swing.
Austin agreed, and I choose to believe, because we did not see him on camera, that J.R. Smith was not wearing a shirt on that golf course.
He hasn't worn a shirt since.
Since 2016, has not put one on outside of NBA games because of uniform regulations.
What's funny is I bet he's still chiseled. Like that dude is like
I mean, he was
bet
playing
that guy's
college golf for a while, so it's not like he could have just like let himself go. Like he was still competing at something.
You can let yourself go in golf and still be pretty good. Like, I'm pretty good at golf, and but yeah, I completely agree, Harrison, that it was a much lighter LeBron. He even joked about Bryce getting to the NBA, where he was like, "Nah, I'm not waiting for him. He's on his own timeline. I'm on mine. I don't think they match up." And he kind of like chuckled afterward. But I just thought, like, yeah, that was a LeBron who, yeah, like finally was able to hand over the keys. Now we'll see how comfortable he is, and like I'm still really curious to see like how the leadership dynamic goes between Luka and LeBron and all of that stuff. But yeah, like that was the number one thing I was kind of like heading into media day, really focused on, if not a little nervous about. And it was excellent. I thought it was really, really good.
It doesn't mean that the Lakers are going to have a drama-free season, Omaris Hall in the comments, but like it does, it was the first potential speed bump that they could have hit.
Yeah.
And they definitely avoided it, or they slowed down and they just slowly went over it. The suspension didn't even shake. They were totally fine. And so it doesn't mean that everything's going to be fine for the rest of the ride, but it was the first time there could have been some turbulence or, some like a hectic moment, and they got through it. And so that's good. I also think you noted the part about him saying that he was specifically working on his spot up shooting, which I'm not sure I've ever heard him say before. He may have at some point, but I'm not sure that I've ever heard him talk about working on that, because it is a different skill set than the one that he's really worked on, which is off dribble shooting, to become like as good of a 3-point shooter as he is. And, again, it's like, we've seen him a bunch of times say, I'm going to have the ball less this year. It's going to be so great to not have to play point guard. And then by 10 games in, he's like, it turns out Dennis is pissing me off a lot, and I would like to dribble the ball more because D'Lo just took his third heat check of the first quarter, and he has not made a shot yet. I don't know why he's checking for heat, and I am going to be the point guard now. So, but the fact that he was just like, I'm just going to be a spot up shooter this year, I'm ready to do this, is again like a test. Like he's totally chill with Luka taking the reins. He knows they're going to be playing Luka ball, and he's trying to figure out, how do I best fit into that?
Well, that actually serves as a perfect segue, because like I was thinking about that specific point, Harrison, for how long the Lakers tried to find an engine to the offense that LeBron would be comfortable sitting in the car with, or like a pilot to the offense that LeBron would be fine, traveling in that plane. And like I'm watching, I'm watching all of this take place, and the fact that LeBron went second in terms of availabilities, Luka went first, in like, it's kind of a cheat code.
Do you think they put LeBron at the Spectrum desk first just so that he didn't realize that it was like a change of order?
Or was he talking while Luka was talking?
Yeah, he was talking while Luka was talking there. They traded off. So
that's just good. That's good planning there. Also, shouts to the Lakers. Like, they said it was going to be 2 hours, and they got everybody through there in 2 hours. Like, good job.
They really have gotten very efficient with it. I will say, over the years I've been doing this, I feel like Media Day used to, and maybe this is because I was writing like 8 blogs, but I feel like Media Day used to feel like it took like 900 years, and now it just like it's a tight 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like the Luka thing, what it was always, I think, going to take was not just a player of LeBron's caliber, but also I think a player as adept at LeBron at this specific thing, which if you want to split hairs, you could say LeBron is a better passer. He's better this, yes, he's LeBron James. He's over the course of his career,
he's very good.
He's been a better player than Luka over the course of his career. Fine. He reached higher highs. I would agree. But Luka is one of maybe 4 people who have existed, before, or I guess since LeBron's career began, that you could viably put into the same sentence as LeBron as a creator. And that's what it was always, I think, going to take for LeBron to be comfortable, to be the kind of comfortable he was today. And the kind of comfortable he would have had to been to work on being on the other end of those passes from Luka. So, but I also think what it takes, and where I think AD kind of fell short, when LeBron was trying to hand him the keys, was Luka like grabbing those keys, being like, yes,
I also think
those are
to
mine
some
now.
degree AD fell tall of grabbing those keys. Like he's not an offensive initiator, like they were never gonna be initiating all their stuff with a
Yeah, but he's also not really like, he's not wired to be the best, like the leader of a team.
I agree with you, but I also think just style of play wise, that was always
Yeah.
going to be a tough ask for him. Like he's not an engine to an offense. That's just not how he plays.
Yeah, no, totally. But but like Luka today was, I would say
it would be like if Steve Nash was like, I really want to hand off the keys to Amari Stoudemire. It's like, yeah, I mean, you could do that, but he's going to be a lot better with you setting him up.
Yeah, but like Luka today, during his availability, at least the one that I saw, I would say of any other subject, Luka was asked about leadership and spoke about leadership more than like any other single subject that he addressed over the course of his presser, and did so like, remember every year it was like, AD is getting more vocal in practices and in scrimmages and stuff like that, but it was never really publicly addressed, right? Like and he didn't really publicly address it, and when he did, it was like, yeah, I'm really vocal on defense, but not necessarily as vocal on offense. Luka was just flat out saying like, yeah, I got here mid-season last year, and it's really tough to just step in and immediately be a leader in a brand new locker room. Now we have training camp and we have preseason and we have an entire season where I get to spend a lot more time around the guys and learn what kind of a leader that they need me to be, and then learn how to be that kind of a leader. And I thought him just kind of publicly taking up that mantle and publicly just acknowledging, yeah, this is my organization now. Like LeBron wouldn't be as comfortable giving up that mantle if Luka wasn't as comfortable picking that up. And I think those are two very important things that took place over the course of the day.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like the torch needed to be passed. It was like Luka just understand, from the get, the Lakers operating like, okay, this is Luka's team now. It wasn't like, hey, AD, LeBron, we're going to have you in a group chat where you're both like sort of weighing in on stuff, to some degree. Like they immediately cut LeBron out of those sorts of things based on all of the reporting, which, everyone, including you and I, sort of took at the time as like, oh, how's LeBron going to feel about that? And it seems like the answer is pretty good, actually. He's like, that's fine. I don't have to be GM at work anymore. That's cool. I'm spending time with my family this summer.
I don't have to scout Jake LaRavia when he's playing for the Sacramento Kings.
I don't have to find the next Talen Horton Tucker. The pressure is off me.
Yeah, I thought that like dynamic was very much on display at Media Day, and I thought it was like, I know that some people kind of rolled their eyes in yesterday's video when I was talking about how tricky chemistry can be as a science, between human beings. And
true,
in
Anthony
this case,
failed it in high school.
I was not good at chemistry in high school. No, I was
either.
not. That was the only subject that I needed tutoring in, because
I
it's a
failed
lot of
college
like
algebra once.
I didn't. Well,
Not a good time.
yeah, algebra. You know, Avery's doing algebra. Like she did algebra in like kindergarten.
Cool.
Like that's insane to me. I walked.
Yeah,
They did their like walkthrough thing at the end of last year, and they had a word problem, and it was it was an
This is
out.
like when LeBron was doing the post-game interview where he's like, Bronny's better than some cats in the league. Like, you're trying to set up your daughter taking over for me as the first father-daughter co-host. You're like, she's already smarter than Harrison.
Well, on the other end of the spectrum, Miles is going to need a speech therapist, so I don't think podcasting is in his future.
Announce that on air.
It doesn't matter. He's so stubborn. I actually think there are going to be some good like episodes of the pod coming from like some poor bastard trying to teach Miles how to speak. It's just not going to go well for that person.
You'd think it would be
Miles is way too
you,
stubborn.
professional speaker.
I tried, and we're handing it over to the professionals. But yeah, I'm right, Omar's like algebra in kindergarten was nuts. I walked in and it was like so and so needs to bring home 12 apples. She already has 5 apples. How many more apples will this person need to get at the store?
And what time will her train arrive and intersect with the other train?
I was like, I was so blown away. I was like, are you kidding me? This is a thing. All right. And then even crazier, Avery was like, Dad, it's 7 apples. Why are you freaking out? All right. Do your thing, kid. So anyway, I was just double checking my math to make sure I did that right.
Great news for her getting Dr. Jen's genes.
Actually, I'm much better at math than Jen is. She's significantly
No, I just mean
better
she's smarter than you. So
oh yes,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And more mature. That's the bigger one. But yeah, like what did you take from Luka's availabilities?
It's funny. He still, I honestly appreciate about Luka is that he has somehow either they have tried to give him media training and he has declined, or he has just never taken to it, because he really just, you can tell, is truly thinking about the answer to a question for the first time every single time he gets up there. Like, he's not getting his talking points beforehand where they're like, okay, so like if they ask you about this, you're going to try and make this point, and like these are your talking points that you're trying to get across today's question. So like if they ask you about JJ, like take it to that you're happy about him getting an extension, and that all this stuff. It truly, you could see him think for a second and then try and answer the question honestly in real time, which is not always the most compelling watch. And it leads to him being much less quotable, I think, than a lot of guys.
Yeah.
But he also, like, it just comes across as like very endearingly honest, and I enjoy that aspect of him. And it just seemed like, yeah, like he seemed certainly more comfortable that he looked. First of all, he looked great. And he seemed much more, for all the talk that like the Lakers jersey was always going to look bad on him, like he looked okay in it today. And he, I thought that, he just seemed much more comfortable, obviously, than his first press conference with the team, where he was like basically crying about feeling betrayed and and being traded in the middle of the night by a team he thought he would be with forever, and like having just traded his house in it, which again like speaks to his sort of emotional honesty that he sort of goes through up there. And I just thought that he looked totally comfortable. He looked ready, looked locked in. Again, it's a long season, and you and I have seen, I think the best thing that I can say about media day is that saying the wrong things can sometimes mean something. Saying the right things only sort of seldomly does, but everyone was saying the right things. Like, we still have to see their actions back it up on the court. But again, I just thought he was very complimentary of all the new additions. You can tell that he was very proud to have had a hand in bringing in some of those guys and recruiting them. And it's just, I think overall solid media day from Luka.
What was the funniest moment of media day for you?
Well, of Lakers media day?
Yeah, we'll stick with Lakers media day, because
so
the Clippers media day is just the funniest one, period.
So I actually have like two. I think I have two options that I can get to that I can't decide which one I think is funnier. And like, so the first one's simple. Austin was at this again. I watched all the Spectrum interviews because that was just the easiest for me to pull up on my computer. And so I was watching the Spectrum broadcast, and Austin, when he was at the desk with them, said that he mentioned at one point that he had not seen LeBron since the playoffs, and it's just and. I have photos of Austin standing and talking to LeBron at Las Vegas Summer League. And so I just love, and I had heard that weekend that Austin was like incredibly tired. He had a really busy schedule. He was like running around the whole time. And it's like, it's funny that he was tired enough that he did not remember that he had seen LeBron over the summer and taken a photo with him and like talked to him at a basketball game. Like that's how much of a toll Summer League takes on all of us, is that he just straight up forgot an interaction with one of his longest tenured coworkers from over the summer.
All right, so I have a couple nominees.
I have one more, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So my other one was just Austin's look, where like white guys just don't look good in headbands. It's just, unless you're bald, it just our hair just doesn't quite work there.
Well, so to that point, Allie asked him at the desk, did you get a haircut? And he goes, does it look like I did? And then he went on like a whole side tangent about how he doesn't like getting haircuts because they take too long. And he's thinking about just shaving off all of his hair as a result. So you may get bald Austin.
That would look better in a headband than current Austin. I just don't. I also don't know if I've seen too many guys rock headbands for media day. Like
I feel like AC did. But yeah, I guess that, to your point, that's one of the bald guys.
Yeah.
Rondo probably.
Did he?
Rondo, I can't picture Rondo without a headband, so maybe that's just what it is.
I don't think
I feel like Rondo wore the headband for post-game interviews. That's probably not true, but in my head, like I auto-edited the headband onto him while he was like in a suit talking to us.
Did Melo wear headbands for media days?
He had to have, right?
He had to. Maybe?
I feel like there's no way we saw Melo without the headband at media day. Like that was just too much. But again, I might be auto-editing that onto my memories of him because he was just such a headband enthusiast.
Yeah. I just don't think I like Austin's headband look is just Austin. You got to let it go. All right, so what's your next one?
Two other short ones, because I just remembered another one, but one other short one, Dalton's interview with Mike Bresnahan, where Brez asked him, like, so have you been like working on your shot this summer? And he just Dalton just looks at him like, are you insane? He's like, I'm a shooter. We don't work on our shots. Like he meant like he doesn't, like they don't change their shots. Like he wasn't going to change his mechanics. Yeah. And like you could see like Brez like panic for a second and just be like, yeah, I guess when it looks as good as yours, like. But my favorite thing is a conspiracy theory that I have been working on for a while, that I think we might finally have a little bit of evidence of, from Thursday's press conference with Rob and JJ to today with JJ's comments. I have had a theory for a while that JJ is an LFR pod listener, and tries to model some of his public comments based on what he thinks Pete and Darius want to hear. So that he can seem smart to the smart Laker fans, because that's like always his thing, is like he wants to be like, I'm the biggest
smartest person,
I'm the grinder. Yeah, exactly. And he was talking about, like, on Thursday, he said that he had regrets about the Minnesota series, but he didn't really specify. And then today he kept going out of his, and Pete and Darius brought that up during their podcast. They were like, Pete, I would have liked to hear what he didn't like about the series. And then today, unprompted, JJ multiple times was like, there were a couple things I just didn't like about the Minnesota series after having some time to reflect on it. Like just taking other questions and leading them off in that direction and being like, I believe philosophically that we should never put two on the ball. And we did that. And I just think that we didn't practice enough. That's why I felt like our guys weren't physically ready, which was like something that Pete and Darius had specifically mentioned, that he had said going into the series that he didn't think they were physically ready. And so again, I'm like fairly certain that JJ, it might actually be aware of you as a result of LFR joining the Odyssey Lakers podcast network.
I
mean, we know he knows Jovan, so
yeah. It would be funny if anyway, no, but one of the lines that one of the jokes that Pete said on their show was like, when JJ was asked about not making a sub, that the conditioning was like, you guys were just too fat to execute me not subbing in the second half of that playoff game. And that's why there's been such a focus on conditioning here this year. And I did see his quote today of like, we weren't physically ready for that series was like, you guys weren't physically ready to not sub out of a playoff game for an entire second half.
Well, he got into specifically that he feels like they should have practiced more in the lead up to it. He tried to give guys rest, but that they should have practiced. And he just thought that Minnesota took it to them as a result. Like they were fresher, they were ready, they were more like sort of. But yeah, it is a good point that he's just basically like, nobody would be making fun of me if you guys didn't need such a breather. Luka, I better see you on the Men's Health cover this summer. I'm just saying.
Yeah. My other funniest moment, I think you tweeted it, and I think I retweeted it, or maybe I didn't. I forget. But Dalton was asked about LeBron being, or was told that LeBron is 41, and his response was just, "Damn!" Like
he added stuff after that, but his initial response was just, "Damn."
It's like the Don Cheadle Kevin Hart video.
Yeah, exactly. It's also just very Dalton that he did not realize that LeBron was about to be 41,
It's the most
That's
Dalton
like shocking
thing
news
ever.
to him.
Because everybody else, every time LeBron does anything, LeBron could tie his shoes and people are like, damn, 41 years old, tying his own shoes.
Look, I will say, as somebody who is 34 years old and this week has been having a hard time bending over to tie my shoes, I am impressed by the speed with which LeBron can do so at 41.
He spent the whole year with LeBron and everybody freaking out about age 40 LeBron. And somehow he's still surprised by somebody telling him, yeah, he's 41 years old. What do you think? Damn.
Rui at the Spectrum desk was very good, where they showed a clip of him like wrestling a sumo wrestler as like part of like some like vlog
this
he did.
Was the one I retweeted.
And, yeah, Rui was talking about he's like, yeah, like they're really strong, and like James Worthy was like, yeah, but you're pretty strong too, and Rui's like, no, they're really strong. Like it's a different. He wanted to make absolutely sure that sumo wrestler knew that he was not saying that he could take him, and then was going to like fly over here and kick his ass just to prove a point. That sumo wrestler put the fear of God in Rui. He's like, I've had to box out Jokic, and like that was nothing on the.
Rui got a haircut, right? Rui got his haircut. Another somewhat funny moment was him being asked about his extension and him just being like, I just got to focus on the stuff I can focus on, guys.
Well, he said that it wasn't a big deal to him because he's gone through it before in Washington, and he's like, well, I got traded that season, so it can't go that bad this time, basically. And it's like, well, are you sure? Like, I was like, my first response in my head was like, oh, I don't like. So you're saying the last time you didn't get an extension, you basically demanded a trade.
What are you going to do? Stab me?
Yeah, like.
All right, let's go ahead and move on really quickly. Last little chunk of the show. Let's talk about this Clippers thing.
Did you before I just wanted to ask you, did you have any takeaways from DeAndre Ayton?
I think he's funny as hell. Like without being has no idea why he's funny, but like he's the kind of guy, Harrison, who says things that people laugh at. And then like ask somebody after the fact, like, why did they laugh?
To that point, James Worthy at the desk starts reading off all these legendary centers in Lakers history, and Ayton just goes, "Wow, thanks for believing in me." He's like, right, he did the full list, I'm sure, but he's like, Wilt, Kareem, like Shaq, like Anthony Davis,
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre in his head is like, whoa, hold on there. Let's not start putting me on the Dwight Howard graphic just yet, you know.
Do you remember when we used to do that with the Visa Zubats? Like, remember how people?
We did it with Sacre.
Oh man, because I think one
I
of
remember putting Ed Davis on there once.
Yeah, well, because remember we did like Lakers, right? And you could spell all the like you could, so you had like Wilt was the L in Wilt was the L in Lakers, and then there was like a Shaq was, but anyway, Ayton, DeAndre Ayton. Yeah, that's good. All right, let's really quickly talk about the Clippers thing here. And according to Pablo Torre, the new development here that I think is most notable, and Harrison, you haven't listened to the pod yet, but to me, the most notable thing
Not
here,
in entirety, but I've seen parts of it, and I've seen takeaways online. So I'm somewhat familiar. I'm just waiting for him to reveal like the incredible twists in the story.
Yeah. So, well, there were two things that I noted today. One is, a thing I should have noted before and should have looked up before, but it turns out, because I've always been wondering why 49 million. Like, there has to be a point. If you're going to go to this extent, why did you land on 49 million as the number that you needed to get to outside of the cap? And it turns out that 49 million or so, maybe between 48 and 49 million, is the difference in the total contract that Kawhi, the max that he could have signed in LA for, and the max that he could have signed in Toronto for, because Toronto could include an extra year of salary in their contract offer. And so those numbers now, with the benefit, I guess, for lack of a better term, of aspiration, Kawhi actually was able to remain whole by, despite picking the Clippers over the Raptors when he did. Now, it should also be noted that like this was all an effort to keep Kawhi in LA, but Kawhi doesn't seem like the kind of guy who just like moves on from giving up $50 million to sign somewhere. So I would imagine
Uncle Dennis doesn't.
Yeah, both of them. Either way, I just that was a funny note that was made in the pod that I like couldn't believe that I hadn't made a connection on before. But the actual reveal for this one was that the big defense that Steve Ballmer has been making, and I saw that Lawrence Frank was making this point, and it was kind of a popular talking point at Clippers Media Day today, is that what you guys have to keep in mind is that Steve Ballmer technically here is a victim. That he was a victim of a fraudster. And
I feel really bad for the guy that did not notice that he was getting nothing for his $50 million because it was such a small amount of money to him.
Yeah. And so the reveal here today is that, like, all right, so clearly if you're being defrauded and that fraud is taking place and that these people are fraudsters, you wouldn't continue to invest in aspiration, let alone or anything that have these people associated with it, right? But it actually turns out
really good at fraud,
maybe they are the greatest fraudsters ever.
You realized they were defrauding you, but they were still so compelling that you gave them more money,
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe this time they're not going to scam me.
Right. Russell Westbrook didn't work out for anybody else.
They were just loosey with the football with him every single time. They're like, no, this time we're going to plant the trees. Come on, Steve, give us the money.
But it turns out, even after being made aware of the fraud that they were accused of, even after various platforms wrote about the extent to which these people defrauded people of money, Steve Ballmer, as recently as January 2024, was still, Harrison, investing in properties or entities or companies that I think it's Joe Sandberg is the other guy, is the guy who was actually
Andre Czerny's the political one that is not in jail, and Joe Sandberg is the one that pled guilty to fraud, I believe. Yeah.
Right. And Sandberg is the one that Steve Ballmer gave or wrote a check to for $1.875 million as recently as January 2024, which is well after the fact that he would have known about the fraud that Sandberg had committed. Not even allegedly anymore, Harrison. He was found guilty of it and is serving time for it. So the victim talking point isn't salient any longer. He
admitted he was guilty. This isn't even like there was so much evidence that they were just able to convict him, and you can argue that maybe it was a wrongful conviction or whatever. Like, he said, I did that. Send me, punish me.
Yeah. For the sake of getting a lighter punishment, right? Like, that's why
that's how dead to rights they had him, was that he was like, no, I did that.
And even after, and so in 2024, Ballmer writes another check, and there are even more checks that have been traced back to Clippers officials, and you have a former Clippers official on the record, albeit anonymously, but said to Pablo Torre that there's just no way that Steve Ballmer or anybody with the Clippers wouldn't know of this shady deal with Kawhi Leonard, seeing as he is the son to their universe, right? So, it is. I've been saying all along that this is something that that the NBA needs to come down hard on the Clippers for, and in unprecedented fashion, I think, because this is a pretty unprecedented case. But what did you make of Media Day for the Clippers as they all tried to handle this moment? What was the funniest moment that you found from Clippers Media Day, as they tried to make it appear as if, everything was fine? What are you talking about?
I mean, the funniest part, the funniest actual part of Clippers Media Day might actually be outside of the Kawhi stuff, where Bradley Beal was asked about the Suns choosing to part ways with him, and he's like, I just had to respect it. And it's like, I mean, you had to respect them paying you a lot of money to go away. Like, that's you're like,
I took that mean
to do nothing. Yeah, I'm happy to take that.
I actually took it to mean like, honestly, guys, I suck there. Like, I get it.
But the aside from that, the funniest Kawhi related part is that everyone with the Clippers pretty much just keeps admitting that Uncle Dennis asked them for stuff he was not allowed to ask them for, because they refuse to deny that he had done so, just at the risk of incriminating themselves down the line in case there is evidence that he has done so. Because Ramona Shelburne asked Lawrence Frank basically the same thing that she asked Steve Ballmer in their sit down for ESPN. And she said, has Uncle Dennis asked for any extra benefits that would not be permissible under the NBA's rules? And his answer, instead of just saying no, his answer was, Dennis knows the rules, Kawhi knows the rules, Mitch Frankel knows the rules, and we know the rules. And so Ramona follows up and says, is that a yes or a no? And Frank said, yes, we all know the rules. Now, I'm just saying that if I was being accused of doing the things that the Clippers are doing, I might deny it. I might come out with something saying why the reporting is wrong. I might push back against certain aspects of the reporting that I am so easily able to prove are false. But instead, they're just like, the truth's going to come out. We welcome the investigation. We don't deal with the clickbait journalism.
I loved Lawrence Frank telling everybody who was sitting in front of him how he wishes he could answer all of their questions, but he just can't right now because of the pending investigation. He's like, I mean, under normal circumstances, you guys, I would be as forthcoming as I could possibly be, and we would just sit here, sing Kumbaya, and talk about fraud. But nope, we cannot do that today. I also love that one of the first images from
my lawyer is saying I can't answer that question t-shirt is leading to a lot more questions.
I loved that, one of the first pictures that I saw from anybody at Media Day was Chuck the Condor, just His face is obviously like stuck in.
We
like,
need to know what
his
Chuck
indie
the
mascot.
Condor knew and when he knew it, and he needs to testify under oath whether or not he had a relationship with Andre Czerny and Joe Sandberg.
Harrison, I have spent an ungodly amount of time trying to find Aspiration LLC stuff to wear. I can't find it.
That's I mean, we could probably get that made. I bet.
I think I want to get it made.
I think we should make like Aspiration Tree Salesman t-shirts and sell
Well,
that.
the thing is, I'm concerned about the trademarking on it.
I don't think you're allowed to hold the trademark if you're already like going under for fraud. But I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I could be wrong.
Imagine getting sued by
sued by them for defamation. For trademark infringement. They're like, you're stealing from our bankrupt, evil, fraudulent company.
I'm going to do a live read for Aspiration and do more than Kawhi ever did for him.
You know, sometimes planting trees is important, and I believe, did anyone going to ask Kawhi? Like, they asked Kawhi, I saw about he said that he doesn't think that it's accurate that no services were performed, and that he but okay, then what services did you perform?
Yeah. Oh no, I loved Andre Czerny trying like. His big gotcha was that like he doesn't remember having conversations about cap circumvention. Not that they never happened, but he's like, oh, Pablo Torre can't possibly have this. I don't remember ever having conversations about this. It's like, oh, so
you're saying the thing that people who did a crime do when they don't want to admit that they did, like they don't want to lie under oath. They're like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Is Chuck the Condor like the cousin Greg in this scenario of like success? Like, is he going to be the one that they all try to get to fall on the sword? They're like, Chuck the Condor has pled guilty to cap circumvention, and the NBA is actually banning him for life. They're transferring him to like a EuroLeague team. He's got to go over there, just apply his trade. Contract voided.
I kind of feel like the funniest outcome would be Lawrence Frank being cousin to Greg, right?
I mean, he seems like the most likely one to get like cousin, because the other thing is too, and again, like I'm not going to speak to whether or not something like this would be legal, but Steve Ballmer has so much money that you would think it would be plausibly very easy to get someone to fall on the sword for you with that and convince them like, hey, you know, maybe your NBA career is over, but I can make sure that you're taken care of
forever. Yeah.
Hey, Andre Czerny, like, you know, if you help Mark Cuban defend me, I don't know, maybe your political campaign, maybe there's some CPAC donations through some shadowy, you know.
Yeah.
That some shadowy LLCs that I hide better.
That's been Mark Cuban's defense of Steve Ballmer this whole time. Is like, surely if he did all of this, he would have been smart enough to pay people off to shut up. But apparently not. Like it's crazy to me how many people from either the Clippers, formerly of the Clippers, or formerly of Aspiration, or all these things are just like coming out and telling Pablo whatever they want. It's
well,
not,
his latest
Pablo doesn't have.
I saw Cuban's latest defense was like, well, the company had a different name by that point. And I love the idea of like Steve Ballmer is like a toddler with no object permanence. So like the same people came to him asking for money, but it was like a different company name. And he's like, oh, okay, well, you've defrauded me before, but I'm sure this one's fine.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened with the second or the newest thing that he invested in with Sandberg. Was it like it was a completely different project, but it was the same guy. And Steve Ballmer's like, oh, you got me again. Damn
it. Yeah. You keep moving the football. Just let me kick it.
Another funny moment today, Harrison, from across the media days was the Dallas Mavericks turning off the chat feature on their YouTube page while they were.
Not see this. Always a good sign that you made the right move, you know, when it's like almost a year later and you're having to turn off the YouTube chat on media day, the day when every optimism is supposed to be as high as it ever will be the entire season.
Yeah, they had to do that, and then Jason Kidd accused everybody of bad reporting when the person that he was saying
for using the exact phrase that his boss used. Yes,
the person who was being irresponsible was his boss, Nico Harrison, which is
like, how dare like anyone who would imply that Kyrie is ahead of schedule, is a fraud and a clown and an idiot, like basically. And then it's like they're like here, and people are like, here's this clip of Nico Harrison saying that Kyrie is ahead of schedule because of how hard he works on his rehab.
Nico Harrison standing off camera like,
it's like, stop it, no, this means stop. This means no, don't keep the excuse going.
Turn off the chat. God bless media days. Yeah, I think as far as like Lakers stuff goes, I think that's about it. The only other thing that happened that I think is noteworthy, Thero is still not cleared for basketball activities.
Yeah.
He has swelling in his knee. Also not cleared for basketball activities is Robert Williams up there in Portland. I know a lot of people over the course of the summer kept asking if that is somebody that the Lakers would be looking to trade for. And I reported at the time that I had been hearing he wasn't healthy at that time or at any moment over the summer. And it turns out that he still isn't cleared. So now you know why the Lakers didn't trade for him.
I'm not going to imply that, that your reporting is guesswork by any means, but I'm just saying, like, I'm reporting that Robert Williams is not healthy, is not exactly a bold limb to go out on based on history.
Yeah.
That was like the more like it would be news if he was healthy. It seems like we should just assume not healthy.
Yeah, he was healthy in the Lakers. Like he got like some magic surgery and is going to be healthy moving forward, and the Lakers still weren't interested. That would be more newsworthy than.
I mean, I'd be a little worried if somebody was like leaking to you. They're like, no, he got a magic surgery. He's going to be fine. That's what Joe Cronin told us. He said it's magic.
That's what they're doing in Boston. Like that's what they're doing with Jason Tatum. His surgery was apparently magic, and he's going to be back by the All-Star break.
There are, I still would not anticipate him being a difference maker this year if he were to come back, just based on what we've seen of Achilles injuries. But apparently that one is genuinely medically different, where because of how quickly he went under the knife without flying and like all of that stuff. Like it is a unique situation.
All right. So here's my thing, Harrison. I think everybody in Boston is being really irresponsible on that front. Like, you cannot possibly get your audiences excited about Jason Tatum potentially returning this year.
I think it's Tatum. I think Tatum wants it out there. I think Tatum wants
I think he can too, but like, I think all I can say is how I would cover the story. And I'm not saying this is the only way to cover the story. This is the only ethical way.
You're the only journalist I trust.
Yeah, but like, to me, even if I was told, even if Jason Tatum told me himself, I think I'm going to be back by X, Y, or Z time, I think I would still tell my audience, guys, we still have to be realistic and responsible on this front. And if we see him, cool. If we don't, that's how all of these go. Because like the thing about the Achilles, Harrison, is that like, yeah, he might have been able to get the surgery done quicker and that might help him return faster, but it's still the same surgery. And once you snap one
and
Achilles,
without flying is apparently a key difference because of the inflammation that can lead to.
But even once you get that surgery and you have to sew that Achilles back together, or you have to, piece the Achilles back together, that it is now structurally less sound than an Achilles that had never ruptured. And so like rushing him back, this is, by the way, this is what Jen told me. This isn't me like being an internet doctor. This is me relaying what the actual doctor
heard from a doctor.
Yeah. What an actual doctor. Cause I've been like telling her what they're doing with, or what they're promising with Tatum, and what Tatum himself is promising. And she's like, that's ape shit. That is absolutely bananas what they're doing. And I'm going to trust what she says over, people being hopeful about a basketball player. All right, Harrison, anything that you want to plug before we get you out of here?
No, nothing specifically that I want to plug. I love Media Day. I was happy when I got the call to jump on here and talk about it with you on the day of. And, I guess I do have something to plug. Listeners, you should go to the Orlando Magic's Twitter feed to see like how threads can go wrong sometimes.
What they did to Desmond Bane's hairline is so
There
mean.
There are just so many things going on in that thread that are so like it's genuinely, it's one of those situations where like the people go online and they're like, hey, just started my first day as Orlando Magic social media photographer, like, you know.
The caption on the Bane one too was insane, right?
Yeah.
He's like, we just can't get enough of these men or something like that.
Addicted to these young men.
Pause.
Not how I would have phrased it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
God, I love Media Day. It's the best.
Yeah.
All right, Harrison, thanks very much for hopping on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the feed here. And if you are not watching currently on YouTube, you can find that feed at youtube.com/@LakersLounge to help it grow that way. And until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin. That was Harrison Fagan. This has been the Lakers Lounge. Have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's. And I will talk to you tomorrow with a recap, by the way, in shorter form of Media Day in the lowdown on the feed. So check out that too. Have a good one, everybody.